supported him throughout his life. We all marvel at people who turn out to do great things in their life. And sometimes we don't necessarily focus on the people that made it possible for them to achieve that. For me, as a young man growing up at Port Royal Golf Course, I got to know a man named John Nicholas Swan, who I played golf with very regularly, 3, 4, 5 times a week if possible. I was just a young teenager, early teen, when I got to know Mr. John Nicholas Swan, who lived in my neighborhood as well, in the Granaway Heights Coral Acres community. Mr. Swan gave me a summer job one year, which allowed me to buy my first set of golf clubs in 1971, working at the Woodlawn Supermarket up there in Somerset Bridge community. Working at Woodlawn Supermarket, I would get to know Miss Margaret, well loved and referred to as Maggie Swan, who ran the business. Sir John's father was there in the business. He was a very fun-loving person. We loved our golf, but everybody knew that Mrs. Margaret Swan was the boss, and she ran a good operation up there at Woodlawn Supermarket, a supermarket that provided home deliveries to communities back in the 60s and the 70s. Cindy James used to drive the blue truck and take your groceries to your homes in around Somerset Bridge and other parishes in Bermuda. And we had Mr. Swan's cousin, the butcher, Mr. Swan also, trying to think of his first name, working in that store. We had Cabo Roberts, Mr. John Swan's brother-in-law, the youngest one, Cabo, working there. We had his sister Sylvia working there back in the 60s and the 70s when I got introduced to working at Woodlawn Supermarket up there in Somerset Bridge. And it's important to appreciate how important that organization and operation was to that community, and get to know the people who would raise, who would later on go on to become a national hero in Bermuda. Yesterday we had a joint sitting of the Commonwealth Parliamentary branch of the Bermuda branch of the CPA, and it was very fitting that members who once served in Parliament, who will always be a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Bermuda branch, were able to come forth and offer tributes that others won't be able to, simply because they would not have been around to know persons like Sir John. And there was a wide cross-section of representation there, offering tributes. Former premiers, like former Premier Ms. Paula Cox, former Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Walter Lister, former opposition leader, Dr. Grant Gibbons. So 3 spectrums of the political equation from back in the 90s and the 80s were represented just in those 3 persons there. Dr. Norma Aswood Blackwood, Lady Norma Aswood Blackwood, was on hand to provide a very comprehensive tribute, recognizing her interactions with Sir John over the day, and we were very appreciative to have had her present. She made it known that she was the oldest in the house. I don't know, she walked up there quite spry and provided her tributes. I just want to say on behalf of my wife Cindy, who enjoyed a very special relationship, as many people did throughout Bermuda, no matter what part of the political spectrum you hailed from, enjoyed a very special relationship with Sojourn. And of course, Cindy and Sojourn would have their disagreements at times on things. And I certainly remember her sharing with me that one of his very wealthy friends was present when he and her were having a go at each other, and he was taken aback. And Cindy said to Sojourn, please have a word with him. And Sojourn says, listen, this is between two swans. And off they continued, but they remained had a very loving relationship in that regard. And so many of you had similar types of relationships, no matter from what political spectrum. I recall as a young man who used to go attend the Comet races, the Edward Cross Memorial long distance race that was held recently on Heroes Day. Sojourn would always be a part of that holiday. He would be on board the boat, the Mistress, owned by Colin Pearman, along with Al Frederick Red, the opposition leader. So here you would have, on a holiday, you would have both the opposition leader or the opposition finance spokesperson and the premier of Bermuda on board the same boat enjoying a holiday. But they both grew up in the same community, and they both maintained a good, healthy relationship. And that's important to appreciate and craft. And that's the type of relationship that we would encourage to take place across the board when it comes to political discourse in our country. I think Sojourn and Jim Woolridge and certainly Al Frederick Wade and Dame Lewis Brown Evans, Otto Simmons certainly knew how to disagree with each other very strongly without being disagreeable or disrespectful. And I think that's something that we can certainly work on. And I think having a CPA branch meeting yesterday, which allowed younger members to hear from persons who once sat in the same seats that they sit in today, was significant. And I want to thank Speaker Lister for making that possible for us on this occasion. I'm expecting to attend the funeral later today, and it's going to be a very crowded one, I'm sure. And I just want to express condolences again to the family of the late Sojourn Swan, because families of political figures pay a price for their family member being a member of Parliament. People call you all types of names, takes all types of liberties, will call you at any time. And a lot of times persons are away from their families. And I know Sojourn would have been in the same situation as other leaders even today would have to make sacrifices with their families in order to provide public service. I know I have, but it's a path that I've always endeavored to walk, and something that I enjoy doing for my country. Service to country is very, very, very important, and it's something that you learn coming up by those of which you associate with. You know, role models in our community is ever so important to have and to appreciate. And I know for myself, growing up around golf, people say to me, you talk about golf a lot, but you have to talk about where you learn things from. You have to teach people by showing them how you learned. And so, you know, sometimes people are too busy on likes and material things. But it's the things that touch the heart. It's seeing that young man yesterday, for instance, for me, I don't know his name. Maybe I should have asked him his name. But we shared 5 minutes sheltering from the rain. For me, it was to get some exercise, and I didn't want to get my phone wet. That started the conversation. For him, it was to hoping that the rain would stop quickly so he could get over the hill to get his son. And he was on foot. And we had a conversation, and I shared with him something based on my experience. I said to him, you are undertaking one of the most important tasks that a young father could take, to spend time with your son. He will remember that more than he remember you giving him $50 or sending him money. He will remember you taking him fishing. He will remember the time you made to spend with him. He will appreciate that when you're gone. Yesterday, in the 3 minutes that I was allotted when I paid tribute to Sojourn and offered condolences and shared fond memories of his origins from his parents, I shared fondly and lovingly the time I spent with his father, John Nicholas Swan, around golf and around the shop and running errands for the shop with him in Hamilton and the likes, and the times that we spent having a meal before we went play golf and coming back, and him saying, boy, it's been really busy day. Kim and I have been busy, but he and Kim played 9 holes of golf at Ocean View or Port Royal. But I remember those times. I can show you his picture because I appreciated that quality time. I appreciate that he gave me the job that I saved every $50 that I made that summer, that week, so that after 5 or 6 weeks, I was able to go up to Walter King and pay cash. And my Uncle Dally Hole asked me, where are you going with all that money in your pocket? Knowing that I had enough money in 1971 for a down payment, a significant down payment on a piece of land. Now, some other persons were switched on to buying land, and I learned a career. I loved golf. Golf took me all around the world, caused me to meet people in all 4 corners of this earth. And for that, I am richly blessed. I am richly blessed. So the bank account of my heart and my spirit is rich and full because of that choice to embrace a trade that opened up the world to me. 297-1027 is the number to dial. And I want to encourage you to call in this morning, and you can share with us a tribute on behalf of your family or yourselves about Sojourn. If you're saying to yourself, yeah, this is tourism in focus, yes. Leaders of countries make decisions that allow us to invest in tourism. And under the leadership of Sojourn Swan, we had the Honorable C.V. Jim Ruich as tourism minister, arguably probably the greatest one we'd ever have. Someone who could walk around Bermuda and the world and embrace. He came from a strong family of tourism ambassadors, and that leadership at that time allowed that to take place. So we have to give Jack his jacket in some regards. And for those of you who would say, well, Swanee, what does that matter today? It matters because today we can celebrate things that were done 40 years ago that benefit us today. Just like I'm quick to mention to you that had it not been for the fast ferries that Dr. Hewitt Brown introduced in 2004, 5, 6, and 7, we would not be able to transport those passengers from the cruise pier in Dockyard to St. George's freely. And the Minister of Tourism, thank you, Minister Owen Darrow, made more passengers available to Bermuda. So if it wasn't for initiatives that took place under that administration, we wouldn't have the benefit of it today. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You are on Tourism in Focus.
Good morning, Mr. Swan, and condolences to the Swan family.
Thank you, sir.
You did provoke me to call there simply with the task of saying 40 years and how things can impact Bermuda. And I've been a regular person speaking to the trades of this country. I'd like to venture to say that I don't think the politicians or politics today has tried to emulate Sir John Swan's model of a construction boom. Not only did he have the real estate and the financing, but I think it was done with all private money. I don't think there was any government, per se, money involvement in what I would like to say the most successful construction boom this country has ever seen. When you're talking about bang for buck, maybe he was living at times of the technical school had closed down, so you had some well-trained businessmen. But as far as it's unbelievable to think that a private individual made so many people successful, whether it was opening up an excavation company, a construction company, an electrical company, architectural, all having to do with Sir John Swan's and his personal ambition to, I guess, the end game for him was to create homes for Bermudians. But for the last 25 years, we've had construction booms that I think it's impossible for anyone to think to be able to achieve that type of task again.
Okay.
But I do believe it is the solution to Bermuda. And if we were ever to open up a technical school or trade school for this country, I do believe it should be in Sir John Swan's name. And you all have a great day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. That was our first caller this morning with a tribute. And I'll just say this: Sir John Swan, and I mentioned this in my tribute, and he did it for commercial. He did it for commercial gain as well in a private capacity. Came up with a model where he could provide first-time home ownership to persons, and that caller was absolutely right. He then branched off into Universal Electric. There was Universal Construction. There was John W. Swan Real Estate. There was the John W. Swan Deposit-Taking Company. And he was a innovative person in the private capacity of building homes. And he had an architect on site, Mr. Rayner. I remember, and I said this in my tribute yesterday. You know, as a young fella, you went round John Swan. You went round John Swan Limited, and you saw black professionals dressed well, working efficiently, and getting the job done. And I was very proud. I walked there, and Alex Swan is a cousin, Valerie Deal's brother. Irma Boris is my first cousin, worked in the office there. Marsha Lambert, Daniels now, my cousin, first cousin, working there. His brother-in-law, L.T. Roberts from Somerset Bridge, part of that Roberts family, his brother-in-law working there. And, Leslie Ming, the #1 salesperson, working there, immaculately dressed head to toe, everybody looking sharp, doing their part, from the office, front office staff, right up, deposit. And Sir John Swan's company was creative because when banks weren't giving mortgages to particularly black families, they were created enough to take deposits and offer second mortgages, hold the paper until such time as a person was able to either pay that off or consolidate it with a first mortgage somewhere. And they helped you with financing too in that regard. You know, people like Mr. Roberts would hold your hand and take you through going into the banking institutions and the like. And when Sojourn became a premier, he then had a national responsibility. And notwithstanding all the homes that he was building, there still happened to be a national housing crisis in 1983 time period. And that's where there have been two ministers in my lifespan of politics who have built more homes in Bermuda. One just retired, and that is Lieutenant Colonel David Birch, has been a minister who has built more homes. And the next one with him was Mr. Quentin Ednes, whose junior minister was the late Quentin Ednes, and the late Llewellyn Peniston was the junior minister. They called him Parliamentary Secretary for Housing. And they presided over a lot of housing that was necessarily built because there was notwithstanding all the private housing that Sojourn and Benny Rigo were around Bermuda building, and Dorchester Realty were around Bermuda building and selling, there was still a dearth of housing for persons at the entry level. And so the government then went into that housing initiative. But that caller was absolutely correct with the private. And that's what hasn't happened today. We haven't seen a private entrepreneur interested in entry-level housing as existed back in the 70s. Now, there probably isn't the same market that existed because people were first-time homeowners, not because they wanted to be, but because they were refused to get they were denied access to capital to do it. And I believe Sojourn found the way in which they could get on that ladder. 297-1027 is the number to dial, and I thank that caller that got us started, that called in and absolutely shared with us some truths and facts about the contribution that was made by Sojourn Swan and what he thinks should be done. While I inadvertently allowed hindsight in, but they can be here all the time, you know. Because you know what, folks? There's no place like Bermuda. There is no place like Bermuda. And you know what? We have the opportunity to make Bermuda better. We have an opportunity to make Bermuda better than it is today. And I just want to say to you, as I send a shout out to Mr. Donald Smith there, Mr. Donald Smith, whose father-in-law was the #1 salesperson for Sojourn Swan. Oh yes, he was the #1. Mr. Leslie Ming, my good friend, who looked good right up until the day they put him down. I never forget Leslie Ming and those guys. I used to hang around Joan Swan Limited as a 20-year-old on a Friday. And Leslie, whose daughter I went to school with, looking like he was my age. And Maxwell and those guys said to me, he says, you know what, Kim? You know why Leslie's hanging around you all day during Bermuda Day Parade? I said, why? Leslie's not telling anybody, look at Kim. He needs to get in that gym. He wants to look as good as me. I love Leslie Ming, my cousin Leslie Ming, boy, I tell you. Yeah, and we're talking about Sojourn Swan this morning, and we're giving people the opportunity to give a 1 or 2 minute tribute to Sojourn Swan, and the line number to dial 297-1027. I think I have a caller this morning. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Kim. How you doing?
Why you sound like you're in studio?
Let me tell you. Good morning, Bermuda. Hey, Kim. Thanks for the accolades shown on Sojourn. Let me tell you a quick story about Sojourn. I was 11 years old. John Swan was driving a Humber Scepter. We lived in Montiel. John Swan, I was admiring his car because I was most impressionable. And I said, this is a nice car. He says, but in order to have a nice car like this, you got to know how to take care of it. So he said to me, I'm going to show you. You ever washed the car before? I says, no, sir. He said, I'm going to show you how to wash my car. And he showed me how to wash his car. He had wood grain finish on the dashboard. It was the Mercedes-Benz of the day, Humber Scepter, okay? And I washed that car. I never knew what a chamois was. So John taught me what a chamois was, showed me how to dry off the vehicle and everything, and he showed me how to clean the wheels and how to put shoe polish on the tire and how to put the car in neutral and roll it back or roll it forward by 10 inches to get the underside, okay? Guess what? Sir John Swan was a master. He gave me 2 shillings and 6 months. I thought I was rich. And when we got married, he blessed us with a lot of money, my wife and I. Sir John Swan, I could tell you a lot of stories about Sir John. May he rest in peace. I knew him well.
All right.
In fact, I remember when I was the systems manager for Julian Ernest Sinclair Phillips Hall, and Julian called me to the office. He said, I want you to hear this conversation. Went there, and he called up John Swan Limited's number. Good morning, John Swan Limited. And Julian said, this is Julian. Let me speak to John. John comes on the phone. John Swan, he says, hey, bye. What's going on? I'm got your license, John. What license? The bank license? Yeah, I'm got it. Got your insurance charter, too. What time you coming? That's another story.
All right. Thank you.
Another story.
All
God
right.
bless Bermuda, and God bless the memory of Sir John.
All right. Spiritual Connotations just stopped in the house and dropped off a little tribute to the late Sir John Swan here on Magic 102.7 FM. Yes, Donald mentioned that Sir John lived on Montiel. That's right. His father lived on Montiel before he came to Coral Acres in Southampton. And before that, he was a pawn dog from because when I was a pallbearer in 1975, June of 1975, 51 years ago, we buried his father, the late Jack Nicholas Swan, up there in the Glebe Road area. Brother Weeks would know that that's about all I know up in the Glebe Road area. But certainly we had that a memorial service for John Nicholas Swan there back in 1975, my dear friend. The number to dial is 297-1027. It's Kim Swan here on a Wednesday morning. We're paying tribute to former Premier of Bermuda, national hero, the late Sir John Swan, who will be funeralized later today. And we're sharing stories, sharing memories about him who meant many things to many people. He had his detractors, but you know what? I think he knew how to deal with that in a way in which didn't prevent him from even having some type of relationship with them, if they so choose. He knew how to navigate himself throughout this world, and that's a talent in and of itself. And I'm so grateful for the legislature yesterday who felt it necessary and to offer a special sitting of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association branch of Bermuda a tribute to the life of service of Sir John, to allow former members of the legislature to come forward and share stories that others would not be available, and gave them an opportunity, if they so choose, to come forward and share. And many did, and we appreciate that wholeheartedly. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You are on Tourism in Focus. Good morning, caller. Please feel free. The number to dial is 297-1027, and you could be right here on Tourism in Focus this morning, where our show this morning has been dedicated to the life of service in Bermuda of Sir John Swan, telling a bit of his story, how it connects with tourism. Indeed, during that period, Bermuda had its ups and downs, but I believe, as was shared yesterday, the agreement between the United States and Bermuda that ushered in the tax excise agreement that enabled Bermuda to reach out across the divide and do international business at a different level has bode well for Bermuda. Because in Bermuda today, you have many business visitors who come to our shore. And from them, you also get family members that have traveled for many years now as a consequence. And our relationships around the world has been enhanced in that space, in that sphere. 297-1027 is the number to dial. And we'll be here with you to receive you here on Tourism in Focus. Sending a special shout out to the Newport to Bermuda Yacht Race Committee, celebrating 100 years this year. Wow. Isn't that an amazing? The #1 sports tourism initiative in Bermuda's history is on the water. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air.
My boy, Mr. Swan. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Mr. Swan, Sir John, help me out a great deal. I had the privilege of working for Sir John from pre-hotel that was in St. George's to Hotel College. That's when it was in Devonshire, and graduating. Sir John, along with Mr. Wirtz, CVDM Wirtz, they both was quite instrumental in my schooling, especially when I went off to Cornell. Mr. Swan, because I took a different route and didn't come home from Cornell, I went into international tourism there. So I went to San Francisco. But the first person that gave me a call was Mr. Swan upon my graduation. The second person that attended my graduation was Stevie Jim Wirtz. And he also told me, we're waiting for you to come back home. But Mrs. Swan, that's where I was going at. Mrs. Swan also, because when they had private functions at the Swan's residence, I was one of the waiters. Yeah, one of the waiters at Mr. Swan's residence for a few functions. I can remember clearly talking to Nicholas, and I can remember talking to Amanda. I remember clearly Mr. Swan saying to me, anytime you need anything, just come by. Let's sit down and let's have a talk. And Mr. Balkim, I should say Mr. Swan, Balkim, that Mr. Swan was I found him quite personable and easy to talk to. No matter all the hearsay and the stuff that was said about him that really didn't hold no water unless you sit down face to face, eye to eye, and talk to a person. I appreciated it. I appreciate his wife. I appreciated Nick and the family. They hold a special place not in my heart. Matter of fact, I was talking to Nicholas outside the hospital, not knowing his dad was in the hospital. and we were sitting down on the bench outside, emergency, and we was just chatting away. But Mr. Swan, Kim, because we're talking about two different Swans now.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Kim, without a doubt, I couldn't let this conversation go by without giving my regards to the entire family. I anticipate the service to be huge. So that's going to be one of those that you have to pack your lunch and take a dinner. So I'm.
Thank you, caller. You might have cut out there. We appreciate the sentiments that you've shared with us this morning. Feel free to call back if you had anything else you wanted to share. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You are on Tourism in Focus in this tribute edition of the life of Sir John Swan on Tourism in Focus. Good morning and welcome.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Swan. Thanks for taking my call. It definitely is an honor to have known Sir John Swan. He was a gentleman. He was a great leader, and he was he was on the forefront of so many things for Bermuda, including tourism, which I know is in your backpack. We do appreciate you talking about him and having all the other callers call in. Can I ask you a question about tourism? I had called a few weeks ago asking about the bus service, or should I say lack of bus service, island-wide for our tourists. You were going to check with, I don't know, the powers that be?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for that. I have advanced that. I have found out that there has been some shortages because of mechanical issues, and the schedule is being looked at to adjust that, and I'm hoping that they are on top of that. I've been away in the interim of last talking to you about it, but I'll do some follow-up because I haven't been on the bus since I've been back this past week, but I'll certainly do that as well and keep on it because it's important for our visitors and locals to be able to have a regular bus service when the island is full.
I mean, we need it year-round, but while we're full like we are now and over the next couple of months, it's very important. And it's so disheartening to see so many tourists standing, waiting at the bus stops, which many of these bus stops are disgusting and dirty. I'm not really sure who is supposed to maintain them, but it's embarrassing when the tourists are there and the trash cans are overflowing. People are dropping off their personal trash as well. It's not. We need to do something about this and we need to feel proud again, Mr. Swan.
I agree with you. Cleanliness is important. We certainly have far more tourists on the island, which is a good thing. And so we need to make sure. And I to be honest with you, I do my newsletter every month, and I share ideas that come about. I certainly feel that some of these things can be localized, where there could be local agents engaged to look after certain areas in every parish. I'll be jealous and say St. George's, for instance. I mean, I'm pleased that we get our park looked after and the like, but we have roads, very important thoroughfares like Wellington Lane and the like, where we need folks to be trimmed and the like, and people take advantage of trash receptacles, and people leave cars sometimes in places. And so we need to find a way to be able to redress these things very quickly, and to keep with the tidiness. But I will say this in the fact of the glass being half full. As I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, is no place like home. We must do our best to make ourselves even better, but there's no place like Bermuda that I've seen so far.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call, and there is no place like home, but we have to do a much better job, especially with taking care of our tourists that, as you know, we're a very expensive destination. We have to show them what we're all about. And having poor bus service and dirty bus services, doesn't bode very well. But let's hope that we get some action on those buses. Anyway, I'll let you get back to Sir John Swan, because he was well loved by everyone, I'm sure, and the funeral today will be so well attended. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carla. I think Jim Woolrich used to say we need to provide value for money. And thank you, Carla, for that. And we will encourage in every step, everybody that's out there doing what they're doing, value is important. You might not think so, but every chore and job out there has great value and does a great deal towards that, what that caller was just saying. Thank you. We're going to take our next caller now. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You are on the air. You're on Tourism Focus this morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air. Feel free to call back at 297-1027 is the number to dial. My word, we're 17 minutes outside the top of the hour already. Where has the time gone this morning? Welcome, caller. You're on the air.
All I want to do is have a clap out for that lady who just finished talking. What a breath of fresh air we need in this island, It's bad.
That caller was breaking up on me, or whatever, your cell line or whatever wasn't coming through clearly. 297-1027 is the number to dial. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, Kim. It's me returning, but I just have a question this time. I asked you last week about the Lantana property. I see in the RG they put an application in for rezoning. So does that mean we no longer have a hotel shortage bad problem on the island?
No. What you would have seen is what I mentioned to you, is that is coming from the owner of the property it's themselves. That hasn't been granted. If there are any ones that feel, or the government that feel that property needs to be maintained for tourism in its full capacity or partial, then they have the opportunity to express that to planning like any other application. So that's the developer putting that in a formal sense. I believe what we've seen before was the developer speaking informally, trying to get what we call an in-principle agreement, which I don't believe they received. So they're now going through the formal process to see if they can get it by putting in an application.
By putting an application?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I just, my thought pattern was, why you just don't renovate it and got a management company to manage it, like a Sheraton or MGM just built a little small boutique in Jamaica. It's basically the same size as Lantana. So I just didn't understand why they just didn't try to get a management company to manage it under the brand, and instead of taking it out of the hotel stuff altogether.
Well,
that's just my thinking.
I can't speak for the developer.
Right.
Or will I try? Because I'll declare my interest. My brother works for the developer, and I ply my trade freelance for him. But I will say this: that developer has been there for 20 years, and the property has been for sale. I believe, if I put my 2 cents in, if we could find a purchaser that wanted to take your idea up and go, that's where probably it needs to be. But I think the developer is probably looking at what his options are with a property that he sits on. If you get right. But to satisfy what you're suggesting, it takes a purchaser, and I'm gonna use this to segue into something, right? I'm gonna use it. one of the things missing in Bermuda, and I'm going here, one of the things missing in Bermuda, as a guy who's been around, and, when we talk about Sojourn, I give a tribute. I talk about the people that built him. I'm talking about the mother that raised him. I'm talking about the father that nurtured him. I'm talking about this, there are people around who have learned from those same people, I'm one of them. And so the one thing that I've seen over the years that has happened in Bermuda is that when I was coming up in the hotel industry and the hospitality industry like you, because I got a sense that we're, probably around similar ages. Maybe you might be a little younger than me, maybe 10 years younger than me. But, but what I'm saying is this, is that we had an abundance of people at the top of the food chain who didn't have to apply for permission to make decisions. Now,
Exactly.
people say,
Right.
where you going with this one? I'll tell you, right?
Yeah.
When I went to Europe to represent Castle Harbor, my paycheck didn't say Castle Harbor, My paycheck said Bermuda Properties Limited.
Right.
I was personal friends with the president of Bermuda Properties Limited, who was the general manager and president, Pierre Darlinger, right? But I also used to teach golf to the owner's son. The owner owned Pan Am Airlines.
So, Mr. Tripp.
Mr. Tripp. So what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
Is and on the board, and I've said this before, on the board of Bermuda Properties was a politician, congressman from Pennsylvania. Now I spend more time in Pennsylvania now because my stepdaughter's a physician in Butler. And I'm looking there and I'm saying, well, Biden comes from Pennsylvania for many decades. And I'm saying to myself, when Mr. Tripp and his friends wanted to do something in Bermuda, they didn't have to go in the company to get permission for Bermuda to do something.
No.
He made a phone call.
Exactly.
Yesterday, when, Sojourn has relationships with President Bush, and he had relationships with Margaret Thatcher. He had met, Dame Lois Braun Evans had relationships with Lyndon Pindlin, and personal relationships. So whether or not they were PLP or UBP, the people at the top of our food chain had relationships with the people at the top of the business food chains globally. And when I was growing up at Port Royal under Walter King up there, the man that owned Cross Pans, Mr. Clark, and those guys used to hang out Port Royal. That owned companies. So they could make decisions. They could make recommendations for Bermuda that didn't have to go through middle management. We're wasting a lot of time at the international middle management level on a number of fronts. And for a person like me, that's totally frustrating. Because I was taught by guys that said, you want to get something done, you go where, caller?
Where? Go
Where do you go?
top.
Oh, my gosh. You go straight to the top.
You stop messing with your barnyard animal and go straight
You
to
go
the top.
straight to the top.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is what, and so when I walk around the world, I walk around the world and walk into some hard places because I was really good at golf, right? So I talk about my trade, but that applies in anything. When I walk into New York and I go into a theater or we go to the Explorer Club and stuff like that, you can interact with people who make decisions right there and then. Right there and then of where they're going to go. And guess what? When E.F. Hutton talks, what does everybody do? They listen and they follow.
And you listen and move.
And we're wasting a lot of time and spending a lot of money in the wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, that's my contribution.
Yeah. I
You took me there. You're pretty good,
I did not want to take you there this morning.
No, but it's important. It's important to understand, what it is that when you pay a tribute to somebody, whether or not you like what they stood for, is when you are connected, like Dame Lewis was with Lyndon Pindlin. The relationship between Bermuda and Bahamas is everlasting because of that.
Yes.
But look, I'm going to share this story with you. One of my mentors is a Kentucky Hall of Famer and a 4 Purple Hearts Hall of Famer in golf, earned horses, race horses, and was the commissioner of mines of Kentucky. He used to come to Bermuda to play in my golf tournaments. Left America. That's when you can get a plane without a passport, and got to Bermuda and didn't have his credentials. Got to the airport and says, in his southern voice, "Oh my, I'm here to see Mr. Swan." Just like you were saying, distinguish between Swan and Kim.
Right.
He said, "Oh, and Mr. Swan's outside waiting for me." And the audience talked about John. And she ushered him through. He said, "Swanee, it's Kim, it's something in her name. I don't know what you got." But they said, I told them, Mr. Swan was waiting for me outside. And next thing you know, heaven and earth moved. I smiled. That was in the 80s. That was Harold Kirkpatrick. May he rest in peace. He told that story to some of the greatest golfers in America. Dave Snead and all those guys, right? And I'm telling you, that is when you are dealing with the top end of business.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's how you got your $99 airfare. That was just a phone call.
That was just a phone. And guess what? And U.S. Customs opened at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
No, 6 o'clock. The flight left at 7.
The flight left at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could Mr. Tripp do that? Oh, wow. Mr. Tripp made a call to one of his board of directors. One of his board of directors called somebody, and the right person it was, and it happened.
But Mr. Swan,
Yeah.
I want to take you down that lane. I just want to know about that town. They don't want to take it away from Sir Juan, but you go ahead, enjoy your day, enjoy the service, and talk to you again next week.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate the caller. I appreciate the caller's time in the industry, his training at Cornell, his love of the industry. I can empathize that. Oh, before we go, let me say good morning to Kevin Benavides, who is retiring at the Mid-Ocean Club. Kevin and I did our apprenticeships together at Castle Harbor back in the early 80s under Tom Smack, out of Maryland, who went to the Sagamore up in Lake George in New York, and John Mason, and Terry Brennan and Pierre Rollinger. And Kevin's retiring after almost 45 years in the industry from Mid-Ocean Club. I just want to say, I hope I get a chance to go have a little lunch together. We learned the industry together. And you can never take away when you learn the industry from a taskmaster. Smacky, he wasn't easy on me boys, and we didn't like it, but we learned the industry, and we learned to respect the industry. And we learned to respect our trade. Yeah. You know? No platitude. You learned the industry first. And you learned how to dot I's and cross T's in your industry so that you can get it right. Yeah. Tourism in Focus this morning. We're paying tribute to the late Sir John Swan, but we're going back down memory lane when we do so. And we've got time for maybe one more caller. And if they're still there, they can feel free to call back. I got time for one more tribute. 297-1027 is the number to dial. And you'll be here on Tourism in Focus. I've enjoyed being with you this morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Swan. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Go ahead. You got 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Condolences to the Swan family. And I can remember Mr. Swan. His wife used to teach at Heron Bay School. So then I used to remember him come picking her up. And yeah, I remember all of that. And then he was good. He was good to my family, Joe, Mr. Willow Lowe, the Lowe family golfer. Yeah, he was a contractor of Mr. Swan. So that also trickled on to He was doing the houses at up Longford Hill, or them the condos up there. The Jones one had had my uncle Willard Lowe as a contractor. So what they're doing it helped me to get work. He had asked to work just through John Swan's business. So it's been a big help. Yep. So
Thank you for that. Joe White Lowe was a great guy. I loved him dearly. He took me under his wing on many occasions on the golf course. And you're right, he used to build those houses. And as a consequence, many guys, I got jobs on and winter breaks, holidays, working on houses with dogs sleeping in those bars as well.
Yep. So he was a good person. I used to talk to him, but I didn't know who he was. I was young. I was just talking because his wife was there. People say, this is the premier. I didn't know. He just talking like a normal person. Yeah, so he was down to her. Okay, Mr. Swan, I'm gonna get off because I know you're getting ready to go. All right, you have a blessed day and you be safe.
Thank you. And I just want to say that caller gave me the segue to pay homage and tribute to Lady Jackie Swan. May she rest in peace. I knew her.
Taught a lot of people at Iron Bay School.
Thank you. I knew her mother and her father, and I knew her brothers and her sisters.
Did they used to stay up Vale Bay?
No, they used to stay. They used to stay up Somerset Bridge, opposite Robertson's Guest House, overlooking Scour. That's where her family homestead is.
I remember something like that. Okay, then.
Thank you, caller.
Have a blessed day. I know you're getting ready to go to the funeral.
Yeah. Thank you.
God bless.
All right. And that's our show today, folks. It's 10:59. In a couple of seconds, we'll be going to the top of the hour, and Nikita Robinson will be in next with the worship room. That's been our show today. Thanks to callers that called in. Talking about some of the standards that we were set, that we were taught. You don't come by them by reading them. You come by them with somebody teaching you the significance and paying the price for not following them, too. Yeah, that's our show today. Lord willing, we'll be back with you next week on Tourism in Focus.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.